So we're going to talk about why it's so often the case that you are your most weird, awkward, and dumb version of yourself, specifically when you're around people who you like or want to impress on some level. For some reason, this person just has your brain losing IQ points and making all of these like weird mistakes, things which feel like very out of character for you. A good example of this is when I started my first office job. First couple of weeks, I noticed this girl, she's working in a different department. And we walked past each other in the corridor a couple of times. And our eyes would meet and I thought, she's pretty. Like I want to talk to her at some point. And the only reason I didn't was because the opportunity just didn't naturally present itself. Like we didn't have really any reason to talk to each other, but it was on my mind. And then one afternoon after lunch, I'm making my coffee. I'm stirring my instant coffee into the mug. And I sense someone behind me. And I turn a little bit and I can see it's her. And I just feel this wave of anxiety just wash over me. Suddenly I'm feeling so tense and uncomfortable in my body. And I realize she's trying to get past me. I'm blocking her path to reach one of these cupboards up here. And I'm oh, sorry. And as I do that, as I move my mug out of the way, I just spill the coffee everywhere, bro. All over the counter. And then I get all hot and flustered and I'm yanking all the napkins out of the dispenser, just putting them all down. And I'm not even turning to look at her because I just feel so fucking awkward and embarrassed. How have I fucked this up in a matter of seconds before I've even opened my mouth? I feel I've fucked it up with this girl. And I can tell she's kind of laughing, she's kind of amused. And I'm bro, this is the worst feeling. And I kind of try and play it off. And I actually do introduce myself to her. But I'm not getting over what just happened. And she actually ended up leaving a few weeks later, which was kind of sad. Not that I had a chance anyway. But yeah, what the feeling that was prevailing before this happened, thinking about this girl, was I need to be perfect. I was kind of building up this encounter before it even happened. I need to be perfect. I need to be the most cool, charming, relaxed, charismatic version of myself. I need to be on top form. And in some way, I feel this played into what happened. Me kind of making a bit of a fool out of myself. I think those two things are connected. And I'm going to talk about why that is. But if any of this is sounding familiar to you, if you just become really accident or mistake prone, or even just saying and doing things that feel a little bit forced, or acting in ways you wouldn't usually around people who maybe you're attracted to them, maybe you're trying to impress them, you deem them high status for whatever reason. The reason I'm telling you this, the reason this happens is because your body is in survival mode. This was new information to me, but I found this idea really interesting. The idea that when our body is detecting some kind of physical danger in our environment, a survival, life or death situation, it shuts down everything responsible for looking good socially. So things like your humor, your ability to hold composure in a conversation and not freak out for whatever reason, your creativity to think of what to say next, everything just gets shut down. Everything you would use to be a good conversationalist, it's done. It's scrambled. And that's because, for whatever reason your body believes itself to be in a life or death situation. If you're being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger, you're not going to be thinking am I coming across as funny or charming right now? Your mind and body are only going to be thinking about one thing, and that's you getting the fuck out of that situation. I feel a bit silly comparing these two situations. Being hunted, literally being in danger of getting my head ripped off by a tiger, versus a conversation that didn't last longer than like 10 seconds between me and this girl. But the thing is, your body, your nervous system doesn't know the difference between these two situations. And there's a very specific reason for that. It's because in that situation with this girl, I wasn't reacting to the present. I was reacting to years and years and years of past experiences that my nervous system had bottled up and stored, not as physical memories, or like memories in the traditional sense, like pictures, but emotional memories. So this is how clever your nervous system is. So anytime you were in danger, anytime there was like a situation where maybe not even physical danger, but like emotional danger, the risk of you being rejected, made fun of, humiliated, any kind of like really negative situation, your nervous system stored those memories up. And now anything that even remotely reminds you of that in the present day, it sends your body into fight or flight, into survival mode, because it doesn't want to feel those negative emotions again. Your nervous system is not just trying to protect you from physical danger, because emotional danger and emotional harm can actually be more painful in a lot of situations. Like, if you've ever been through a breakup, most people will say that's like one of the most traumatic experiences you can go through, but it's an emotional one. When I went through my first breakup, I would have preferred the pain from like a physical injury almost, like falling down and cutting your knee. It hurts at the time, but it gets better very quickly. But like those emotional wounds, they can stay with us for years. So your nervous system has learnt to trigger that survival mechanism to scramble your brain until it can't think of anything else but getting out of that situation. Every time you are reacting to the past. So for me, I definitely have like a lot of past triggers around, I would say, humiliation in public settings. Things like experiences in school, getting bullied or made fun of in public in front of all my classmates, and the feelings that brought. And also things like rejection. Like when I was younger, my family moved like 200 miles to a different location, and I joined a new school. And I went through like about a year and a half of just having no friends, just getting rejected constantly. So that's like a deep-rooted wound that I have. And some people watching this will have similar patterns. But that created these triggers in my present day. Like anytime there's a chance I could get rejected, my body sends me into that survival mode. Like with this girl, it triggered both of those fears. It's like, okay, I can get rejected, but I could also get humiliated in my place of work. So it's like a double trigger almost. And that explains why you become so accident prone. Because again, this desire to be perfect that I talked about, wanting to get this right, and that mounting sense of pressure that came with this interaction, that's not about how you come across or like looking cool. Ultimately, what it comes down to is avoiding pain. I think if I come across as perfect, like this is my brain's logic, if I can present myself as perfect to this girl, then I'm going to win her over. But if we dig layer by layer, like deeper and deeper, at the root of it, it's just all about avoiding that emotional pain. It's not even about her liking me. Really, it's about avoiding her inflicting that pain that I felt before. But when I'm worried about that sense of danger, I can never be relaxed. I can never be composed or show her who I really am, because your personality gets nullified and muted by survival mode. And you become very erratic and tense, and your movements are all like weird and janky and like you say things and you think, why did I just say that? I wouldn't say this usually. So in terms of actionable steps, maybe this makes sense to you, but the way out of this, the way to kind of regain our composure in these situations and stop making all these silly mistakes, You might have guessed this. It's to convince our body that we're not in any danger of danger. And we've already done the first part of this by acknowledging that we're not reacting to the current situation here, we're reacting to past fear. I'm not scared of this girl, I'm scared of feeling that pain that I felt in the past. That's all it is. Even just being aware of that makes a difference. So try and figure out what that could be for you. But the other thing to do is going from survival mode into something I like to call play mode. Play mode is one of my favorite ideas because what it is, it's a very simple concept. It's allowing yourself to feel safe and then without even really having to do anything else, letting your natural personality, your natural sense of humor, who you are at your best, just come back on its own. And also having fun along the way. So the best example I can use to describe play mode is imagine how you are around your best friends in the world. You're making jokes, you're having the most fun. Everything seems funny. Like you can be making like the most childish jokes in the world, but you're not worried about how that will come across or how you're coming across because you're just having fun with your mates. Like you're not worried about like, okay, what am I going to say next? There's no pressure in this conversation. You're not like thinking, oh, like, how am I coming across? You're just relaxed and natural. This is who you really are. But it's these survival mode patterns that take us from this like relaxed, fun version of us that is able to just like chill and have fun in social situations into this like panic and stress mode. So what we need to do is to enter this like play mode state is to just get into the frame of, instead of me trying to perform and get it perfect for the other person, change our objective to just, how can I make this as fun for me as possible? A lot of people hear this and they think like, isn't that kind of selfish? Like, should we not care about if the other person's having a good time talking to us? I'm telling you, one of the best lessons I ever learned is that if I try and make myself laugh, if I try and have as much fun as possible in this conversation, and with all due respect, just not think about this other person, they will inevitably have fun too. When you're having fun, that transfers onto the other person and they'll enjoy themselves too. This is the law of state transference. Whatever we feel, they end up feeling. So this is almost like a lifestyle. Like, this is something I use on an everyday basis. I'm just trying to have as much fun as I can as possible in any situation. Some people might think this is kind of inappropriate, but it's like, even when I'm at work, even when I'm in meetings, I want to lighten the mood. I want to be making jokes with my co-workers, with my boss even. If I know I've got to do some like scary shit, like if I've got to go and do something quite socially demanding, I've got to go and give a presentation, or I'm going to go into a work conference, or I'm just meeting a bunch of new people for the first time, or going on a date. What I like to do is I try and make myself laugh, try and focus on something positive before I do that. Like, before I would go on a night out or go on a date, I used to listen to comedy podcasts on the train there. Because that gets you in this like laughy, jokey mood. And I've always said, no matter what happens to you, if you're having enough fun, even if something really terrible happens to you, like you get rejected or something, you make a mistake, you get made fun of in public. If you're just there to have fun, it almost doesn't faze you. You kind of just roll with the punches. Whereas before I get like so life or death, like so serious. When I work myself up into this like play mode state, where I'm just trying to have fun, I just don't care. I don't care, man. Yeah, so in terms of an actionable step, something you can do. In this conversation where you're feeling stressed out and uncomfortable and accident prone, try and think of one thing, one observation about this moment right here. One thing you could do or say that you would authentically find funny. And I know it's like difficult in these situations, because this is years and years of patterns and conditioning to like feel this danger from this very specific situation. But sometimes it can even just be like thinking of something else which is funny. Like, you ever have those moments throughout your day where like you just see something funny, or like a funny moment comes into your head, and no matter who else is around, you just laugh. You just laugh to yourself because it's funny, because you authentically found it funny. It's almost bringing that situation, that energy into your conversations. Like, nothing can hurt me. I'm relaxed. I'm being playful. We can have a joke and nothing bad will happen to me. It's that kind of energy. Try and think of one thing, one observation, something funny about this situation, and run with it. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to publicly acknowledge what this thing is. But if that can even get you like 1 or 2% more relaxed and into play mode, you'll honestly find that in itself makes a difference. Like, that will bring your nerves marginally down. And that can be enough sometimes. So there's a load of different ways we can approach this. I'm going to end the video here. I just had some new ideas come into my head. I'm going to write them down. But yeah, let me know if you like this topic, because this is actually one of my like favorite things to talk about on this channel. This like idea of play mode and just not taking things so seriously. Carrying that like fun, playful energy into all your conversations. Take care. See you in the next one.